Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we're taking a look today at another low-cost Android box. This is the MECOOL KM8. It is selling right now on GearBest.com for $60, and it runs Android 8 Oreo with the regular Android TV interface. Is it one of those things where you get what you pay for? Yes, unfortunately. We're going to dig into this a little bit more here in this review, but I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that this came in free of charge through GearBest.com. However, all the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Nobody is paying for this review, and no one has reviewed or approved what you're about to see before it was uploaded. So let's get into it now and see what's good and mostly bad about this device. So let's take a closer look now at the hardware. Not very well built. It's kind of a hollow plastic shell here. It has an Amlogic S905X processor built in. This is the same chip that's been on just about every cheap Android box we've looked at over the last 8 months or so. So the performance isn't great, but Android Oreo feels a little faster, at least insofar as its interface is concerned, versus other devices that we have tested this year. It does support 4K, 60 Hz HDR at the maximum. It was working fine on my OLED TV upstairs. It only, though, has 2 GB of DDR3 RAM, which might limit some of the other Android things you decide to do with it. 16 GB of onboard storage, and again, it's running with Android 8 Oreo. On the side here, you've got 2 USB 2.0 ports along with a micro SD card slot. It'll take up to a 64 GB card. You've got the antenna here for Wi-Fi. It kind of flops around a little bit on you here. Does not support 5G wireless, 5 GHz wireless, or AC, but it does support 2.4 GHz wireless, 802.11b, and N. It also has Bluetooth support, which is good, so you can plug in your game controllers and whatnot. Over here, we've got the HDMI output here. Again, it supports 60 Hz at 4K most of the time. Your Ethernet port is here, but it's only 100 megabit Ethernet. Which means that if you've got a Blu-ray MKV rip that supports the 100 megabit 4K standard, you probably won't be able to watch it reliably on here because there's not enough bandwidth going in through that port there. And then you've got an analog AV out over there. So that is the overall hardware. Let's plug this thing in now, boot it up, and see how it performs. So here we are on the home screen of the device here, and it's running with the vanilla Android 8 interface. And although this has the same processor that we've seen on a bunch of other cheap boxes, it does feel a bit snappier as you're wandering around the menus here. But there are some issues that we ran into here. First is this. When I go and click on Netflix to load up Netflix, I get this error. We can't use Netflix on this box. It just doesn't work. And I tried a whole bunch of different things and could not get it booted up. Apparently, this is an issue that is cropping up on other MECOOL boxes. They have some kind of thing that you have to sideload onto it to fix it, but it's not compatible, from what I've read, with this box, which really leads me to think this may not be a certified device, as some of the marketing here might indicate. I also tried to load up Netflix on my phone and Chromecast it over because it does support Chromecasting in many of the apps that I tried. In fact, many of the other boxes we looked at would not find the MECOOL box in Netflix when I selected Chromecasting devices, but here we are able to connect to the KM8, or at least it shows up, but the connection usually doesn't work. So sometimes you can get it to this point here, and then what will happen here is you'll get a similar error popping up once the Chromecast application loads up on there. So we'll go ahead and try to hit play here on this particular show that's running, and I can see my phone here is already starting to give me some errors on Netflix too. So I don't think this is a certified device by any stretch, because you can't get Netflix to work on it, which is one of the basic things that you might want to do. I did find, though, that HBO Go was able to work with it, so we can dial up HBO on my phone here and see if that connects here. We'll let that work on the background there, and we'll load up this show here and hit play on that. So we were able to get more than what we've been able to get on prior cheap boxes to work with Chromecasting. It looks like it's showing up in most of the apps that I've tried, but the big one, Netflix, which is what a lot of people want to watch on a box, doesn't work on here, and I think that is pretty much a deal killer for many, including me. And another hint that this may not be a Google certified device was when I loaded up the HDHomerun app. Silicon Dust, the makers of the HDHomerun, are an occasional sponsor here on the channel in full disclosure, but they make a cable television tuner that I use here in the house to watch and record live TV, and they just added the ability to watch DRM protected channels on that device with Android, provided that the device is certified by Google. And sure enough, when I go to click on HBO here, for example, check this out, we will soon get the dreaded content protection error that we used to get on all of these Android boxes before they implemented the DRM protection. So this app is the latest app, but because this is not a Google certified device, we can't play DRM protected content on it. So another strike against it, but there are a few more to talk about too. Now, we were able to get it to load up Plex and Kodi and play back all of our Blu-ray MKV files without too many issues, but there are some problems for the home theater enthusiasts out there. Namely, it doesn't switch into 24p mode even when you configure the applications to do that, so that's another strike against it. Most films are shot at 24 frames per second, and to get the right look, you gotta be running at 24p. You can't do it automatically here, unfortunately. It also did not support lossless audio, so no DTS HD, no Dolby Atmos. The best it did was Dolby Digital Plus when we were running those movies with pass-through enabled on the box, which is unfortunate because we've looked at other boxes running with the same exact processor, and I believe one or two from MECOOL actually that did work with it. So for some reason they disabled that, but you do get a nice logo printed on the front of the box for showing off to your friends, I guess. So that was another issue that we ran into with it there. And as a result of those two things, I don't think it's going to be something that home theater enthusiasts will want to look at, even if it's just for a secondary box, because your media will not play back the way you want it to, and that's an issue, especially at the $60 price point. I would have expected a little bit more out of the box given the hardware configuration. Now, if you're integrated with Google Assistant in your home, this will also work with it. It's not voice activated though. You have to push the button here on the remote. So what I can do is push it down, show me the weather in New York City. And here's the problem, is that it doesn't always start listening right when you push the button, so it often doesn't get the whole sentence in on its recognition. So you have to hold it down, show me the weather in New York City, and then it will start working. So a lot of little glitches here or there that make this a really imperfect device, unfortunately. And to be honest, it doesn't do all that much more than a $30 box does. Maybe the integrated Bluetooth might be a reason to spend a little bit more versus a $30 box that doesn't have it. But the problem that I've got here is that it doesn't support some of the basic things that a TV box should support. Namely, number one, Netflix. I don't think this thing is ever going to get updated to work with that. I can't even find a MECOOL website to try to get some answers to questions that I might have with it. It doesn't support 24p, doesn't support the lossless audio, and some of the other stuff it just doesn't do all that well, including the voice recognition. We were not able to run any benchmarks on this either. 3D Mark kept crashing every time we tried to load it up to see what its gaming performance will be, but our experience with other devices with the same chip means that you can certainly play a lot of the basic casual Android games that are available on the store. Those should work okay. And I also think you could probably do well with retro emulation from the PlayStation 1 backwards. It certainly won't do GameCube or any of the more advanced emulators out there, but 8 and 16-bit stuff and maybe a little bit of PlayStation should work okay on the box here. But overall, I just have a really hard time recommending this one. It just doesn't play Netflix to begin with, but it also has some other issues with some very basic things that I think a TV box needs to support at the $60 price point. Now, I do like the fact that it has Ethernet built in. That's something the Mi box, which costs a little bit more but is an official Android TV box, lacks. But all the problems we're experiencing with this thing does not make it a good alternative to the Mi box. So our quest for the perfect alternative Android TV box will continue. Let me know if you've seen anything I should be looking at. But for now, I'm going to suggest you not buy this one. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Chris Allegretta, the Four Guys with Quarters podcast, Tom Albrecht, Bill Reiner, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.